to Where I Long to Be, a magical trip report podcast. My name is Virginia, and I am your host. We have a little bit of business to take care of before we get into today's trip report. First of all, I am happy to share a new podcast review that came in through Apple Podcasts from listener C. Smith 2558. Titled, Virginia is the Best, which sounds very awkward to say aloud, but I promise you that is the subject of the review and I didn't just make it up. The review says, well-structured, genuinely interesting, and packed with useful tips and storytelling. I look forward to the new episodes every week and appreciate the separation of pre- and post-trip. And Virginia's questions always keep the conversation moving. My upcoming Disney trip is already benefiting from her guests' ideas. Thank you so much for that glowing review. It warms my heart to hear that you love the show. It can be a little hard to know what people think beyond seeing the numbers grow in my metrics, so it's really amazing to hear directly from a listener to know that I'm on the right path. If you would like to leave a review yourself, like C. Smith 2558 did, you can do that directly through Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever platform you're listening on. Leaving reviews and ratings directly into your app is always preferred because it helps others to find the show. You can also leave a review directly on my website, which is whereilongtobepodcast.com, which doesn't help the podcast rankings quite as much, but it does get to me. And like I said, I love hearing what you all think. Also on my website is a way to leave a message for me, and in recent weeks I have asked you all to leave a message with a hot take, a tip, or anything else you want to leave for me to do so by going to my website and using the Send Virginia a Voice Message button that floats on the side of the screen. I got a notification just the other day that I got a message, and lo and behold, it's from multi-time podcast guest Elizabeth and her daughter Hope, who has also popped up on the show here and there. And they have a cookie comment to share. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, Virginia.
Hi, Virginia.
This is Elizabeth and Hope coming from Disney Springs and specifically coming from Summer House on the Lake. And we just wanted to say that we think you're on to something about the cookie name change. Specifically on your show, you recently said that you don't remember the banana cookie being called the Thai banana cookie, but now that's what it's called. And Hope pointed out that she just got a cookie called
The Frosty, and last year was called the Pinky.
So we think you're onto something. Wanted to send you just well wishes and tell you that we're here at Disney Springs. Just came from one of our, you, me, and Hope mutually's favorite restaurant. And we hope you are doing great. Magical wishes.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Elizabeth and Hope for submitting a message and for validating my memory of the banana cookie name. I really felt like I was going a little crazy, so Hope is giving me hope that I'm not losing it. Thank you, Hope. While we are talking about voice messages, I feel like I need to name my voicemail line something a little bit more snazzy. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know. I know that some other podcasts will refer to theirs as a hotline, and I'm using air quotes for that. So maybe something like that or something totally different. I'm open. You know that I love a pun, so anything that makes me laugh is more likely to be something that might stick. And now let's get into today's trip report with Olivia, who has been on the show multiple times before and is the host of her own show called Soarin' Around WDW. Olivia's trip was planned with the help of her longtime travel agent, Katie, who is 2+3 Travelers on Instagram. Reach out to Katie if you need help planning your own trip, whether it's to Disney World, Disneyland, a Disney cruise, or to Disneyland Paris, like Olivia. Olivia was traveling to France for her mother's wedding, which was going to be in a town called Moulins, which is spelled Moulins, but we think is pronounced just like the princess, Mulan. Before the wedding festivities kicked off, they had a couple days in Paris proper, with several park days at Disneyland Paris, where they stayed at the Disneyland Paris Hotel. Traveling with Olivia were her husband, Maddie, and daughters, Eiley, who's 7, and Blake, who's almost 4, as well as cousin Latoya and Latoya's daughters, London, who is 9, and Liv, who is 7. Traveling with them as well was Olivia's mom, aka the bride-to-be. That should be enough to catch you all up. So with that, let's get to it. Please welcome Olivia back to the podcast. Welcome back, Olivia.
Thanks, Virginia. Excited to be back. Well, not excited to be back from France, but excited to be here.
Well, I'm super excited to hear all about France because I have my own Disneyland Paris trip coming up. I have avoided listening to your latest podcast episodes, A, because I didn't want to get spoiled on anything, and B, because I was traveling anyway. So
yes, it worked out timing wise. No spoilers.
Yeah. So this is going to be like all fresh information for me. To refresh my mind, I'm just scrolling through your notes. This trip was June 10th, and you got back on the 21st.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we are talking now here on July 21st. So a month forward. I hope you remember all of the details that you wanted to share. But overall, it sounds like it was a great trip because you were regretting not being there anymore.
It was a great trip. There were a lot of things I'm sure we'll get into, good and not as good, not about Disney, but just the travel in general. But overall, amazing trip. Wouldn't regret it. Don't regret it. Would do it again.
Mm-hmm. And went off without a hitch, with the exception of your mother, who got hitched.
That's right. Exactly. Yes, with that small exception.
All right, let's start off with the flight because I know that you had a 55-minute layover in Iceland, which makes my heart feel a little worried when we talked about that the first time. So how was that?
So this is where the not so good starts, and not with the layover. So the day of our trip, Eiley had her last day of school. It was a half day. And so Maddie decided to work half a day because last year for kindergarten, we both took off and they had a little ceremony we went to and the whole thing. Well, after kindergarten, I guess that's done because first grade, they're like, nope, drop them off, pick them up. There's nothing for you to come to, students only. So he was like, I'm going to work. Well, we get this text from Iceland Air about, 5 hours before our flight is supposed to leave. And it's like, hi, you've been rebooked on a new flight. It's a direct flight now through Air France, but it leaves 2.5 hours earlier.
Okay, wait. And there's no would you like to opt into
Nope.
this?
It's just like you've been rebooked.
It's happening. Okay.
Happening. Different airline, earlier flight. Maddie's not home. Eiley's not home. And so my mom, my cousin, and her girls and I are all like getting the car carry-on, packing the car carrier, packing our suitcases, final stuff. And we get this text and panic just like totally ensues. And I'm trying to get a hold of Maddie being like, you need to get home now. I'm trying to rush and go get Eiley. I hadn't even showered yet. It was crazy.
Wow.
So we ended up, very long story short, getting to the airport. They had booked us all in middle seats on this different flight. So 4 children in middle seats separated, 4 adults in middle seats separated. And they were like, well, we obviously can't do that because they're very young. And I think they said their rule was 10 and older could sit alone. But I was like, no, I don't think anyone wants to sit by my 4-year-old for this 7.5-hour flight. So can we figure this out? So we made it to the gate as the plane was boarding. Once they figured all of that out, we got through TSA, we got to the gate, and the plane was boarding. So it was like the most mad dash rush. And we're like, well, hopefully our bags made it on that we just dropped 30 minutes ago before we got in line for TSA. But everything made it. Our bags made it. We did not have to deal with the 55-minute layover because on our way back, we did still fly through Iceland Air and that stayed as it was, but the layover was a little longer. So did not have to test the 55-minute layover. Ended up with the direct flight, which was nice in the end.
Right. I mean, thank goodness RDU, which is Raleigh-Durham International Airport, for those who are not in the know, is a relatively small airport for a state capital's airport. Yeah. So that makes it a little bit easier to navigate. Do you have Apple AirTags in your luggage where you were trying to see, does it seem like it made it on the plane with us?
Yes, I did for this trip. I usually don't, but I got Apple AirTags to put in our passport holder to put in our luggage. And so I did kind of watch them. It was kind of hard to tell, to be honest, with the AirTags, but I knew as soon as the plane left the gate, it didn't say your bags have been left behind or whatever. So, or your item has been left behind.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I think we're safe. We should be good. So yeah, no problems.
All right. So what time did this put you in Paris?
So we actually got to Paris earlier then because we didn't have to do the layover, and the flight took off 2.5 hours earlier. So we landed in Paris at, I believe it was 8 o'clock in the morning, Paris time. So when I go back and look at the pictures, I'm like, is this on my Apple stamps like Paris time? And I believe it is. So 7:54 a.m. in Paris. And originally we were going to get in around 1 o'clock. So we were there like 5 hours earlier than anticipated, which was nice.
Did you get any rest on the plane?
I actually did. So it's funny. I had Blake with me, who's my youngest, and my husband had Eiley, who is 7. And then my cousin ended up by both of her girls. And none of the older kids slept. They were all like on the other side of the plane, and Blake and I were kind of by ourselves. My mom was in towards the front of the plane, and Blake slept for 4 of the 7.5 hours, which was lovely. I was not expecting that, especially because we left earlier, so it was before bedtime technically. So I was like, oh, this is not going to happen. But she watched Zootopia 2, and then as it ended, I was like, all right, we're going to change into our jammies. We changed into our pajamas in the airplane bathroom, and she was all snuggled up and fell asleep. So it was great.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I remember, I think, us talking about the fact that you were going to be transporting your mother's wedding dress with you.
Yes. So we had a whole dress bag full of, it had her dress, my dress, my girls' dresses, and then I think her rehearsal dinner dress, and her dress made it with the other dresses, but spoiler alert, we'll get to it. My dress mysteriously disappeared. We don't know what happened to it. We found out not till way later when we were at the wedding venue, and thank goodness it was mine and not hers. But yeah, that's a story we can get to in a little bit. But my dress is still MIA. We don't know where it went. It was in that bag, and somehow between somewhere it was missing, and it was the last dress in. So I guess somebody took it out. We have no idea. We cannot find the dress. It was bizarre.
Okay. And
another part of the chaos.
For listeners who are questioning my spoiling myself, like literally I just asked that because I remembered you had mentioned it, not because I had any inkling that this happened. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll get to that. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
All right. So seeing that you were here much earlier, what did you end up doing with your day? And was your hotel room ready earlier in the day than maybe it would have been here in the US?
Yeah, so no, it was not ready, but the hotel we stayed at, which was the Hotel Maison Hamelin, and it was kind of in the 16th arrondissement. I don't know if I'm saying that right, Virginia, correct my French, but
I think that I'm just learning that one word myself. So
okay.
Yeah, we're going to go with that.
Okay, it was a lovely part of Paris. We had an amazing time. We felt safe. It was a great place to stay, so highly recommend. And we took Easy Go, I think it was called Easy Go shuttles from the airport, which they were great. We landed, they had a sign right outside of baggage claim. They were easy to find. We had 2 separate cars. They were both there together, drove us to the hotel. And when we got there, the room was not ready. They had been booked the night before. And so they said, it's probably going to be close to 4 o'clock. And this was like 9:30 in the morning. So we're like, all right. So we freshened up. They had a little bathroom downstairs by the gym that was big enough that we could get changed and everything in it, and left all of our bags with them and walked over to the Arc de Triomphe and had lunch. And then went to a couple of macaron shops and, just did some like little bit of sightseeing until the room was ready. And then we came back and they were good to go right around 4 o'clock. And we took a little power nap. We were not sure if we were going to do this, but Blake had fallen asleep in the stroller as we were walking. And I was hanging on by a thread. And I'm like, if we want to do anything tonight, I think we need to lay down. So we all fell asleep for about 2 hours and then got up, and that night we went to dinner and just we went to a restaurant that is there called Chez Zong. It's right near the hotel and it's Asian food. It was delicious, so good. We all just kind of ordered something different and shared, and it was a great start, which is hilarious. I'm like, we're in France and we're eating Asian food, but it was so good. And then we went over to the Trocadero, where you can see the Eiffel Tower, walked across to the Eiffel Tower, And unfortunately, something I didn't know that they did is they had all of the grass fenced off by the Eiffel Tower. So the last time I was there, you could like be on the lawn and like enjoy the view. There was none of that. So on the Eiffel Tower side, everything was blocked off except for the concrete. And so we decided, okay, this is not really what we thought it was going to be. So we walked back over to the Trocadero to watch the little evening sparkle of the Eiffel Tower. So it was, a very full little half day to start our day to start our time in France. But we hit a couple of the major things that day.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a map while you're talking so I can kind of get a sense of the layout because I don't really have a sense of where everything was. So I can see where your hotel was. How long did it take you to walk to the Eiffel Tower from there?
About 20 minutes, so not terrible.
Okay, so it looks like it's probably about the same or slightly less to the Arc de Triomphe from there.
Yes, exactly. The opposite direction. So we went kind of like, I guess, when you're looking at the map, it's like northeast of where we're staying. And then the Eiffel Tower was like almost directly south of where we were. And you could actually see the Eiffel Tower peeking out like from the street of our hotel, which is really cool.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we still have not settled on what hotel we're going to be staying at for the first couple of nights before we go over to Disneyland. So we're still getting all of that figured out. I cannot wait to get all these details.
Yes.
sorted for my
Consider this one because it was really nice and a great area, but it just depends what all you want to do because Paris has a lot and it's a lot of walking.
Yeah. And I'm also going to maybe look into the Easy Go shuttle. I'm not quite certain based on our flights for those of us who are arriving via flight from the U.S., which is 3 out of the 4 of us, whether we'll all kind of be landing around the same time anyway or not. And then one of us will already be in Europe and is just meeting up in Paris. So,
cool.
All right. What was after that, or was that was the end of the day?
That was the end of the day. So we did the little Eiffel Tower sparkle at 10 and then because it doesn't get dark since it's summer until then. So it doesn't start till later. And then we walked back to the hotel and went to bed to get some rest before our full City of Paris day the next day.
I made a note that Maddie had 3 things he was interested in: Notre Dame, Eiffel Tower, and Arc de Triomphe. He's already gotten 2 out of the 3 done.
Yeah.
So did you go see the bells of Notre Dame on this full day at all?
We did. So we had a very full second day. We got up in the morning, went to a little boulangerie right around the corner from our hotel, and walked back down to the Eiffel Tower. There's a really great picture spot. And it's like the Rue de l'Université, like right down the road. I can definitely send you the pin in my Google Maps, but it's a great spot to get shots of like the buildings with the Eiffel Tower. So we went and did that, and we made a little TikTok with the kids, which is so fun. The girls are like very into making little reels and TikToks. So
cute.
we did that. And then we kind of did something we've never done before in Paris, which was we took the public bus. Because we had the stroller, we were not sure how to navigate the metro, and we wanted to start off going the farthest point of our day, which was Luxembourg Gardens. And that was about 3 miles, I think, if I remember right, from the Eiffel Tower over to Luxembourg Gardens. And so I was like, okay, we could probably walk one way that, like with little stops along the way back, but I don't know that we can do there and back because the stroller was only a single seat for Blake. So the other girls would have had to walk. So we decided to brave the bus, and we had a great experience. It was very stroller friendly. We collapsed the stroller just like you would a Disney bus. It was clean. It was easy to navigate. You just use a Metro card or like add, money to it and tap just like you would like any kind of public big city bus. And it took us right to...
do you have to buy a Metro card specifically, or can you just tap to pay using whatever payment method you have on your...
You don't have to buy a Metro card specifically, but you do have to have the app if you're doing the app. But you can hook it up to your Apple Pay, which is really nice. And each person has to have their own. So you can't tap for multiple people, which we learned. We thought like, oh, I have it, I'll just tap for everybody. But each person had to have their own. So that was a learning curve. But it was, just like you would on the Metro, like tapping in, you have to have your own card. But it was, great, very easy to navigate, dropped us out right outside of Luxembourg Gardens. And they have a great app that you put in where you are, where you want to go, and it tells you how to get there. So it was really nice. And so, yeah, started off the day at Luxembourg Gardens. That was beautiful. I had never been there before. That was one thing I really wanted to do that I never got to do previously. And it's huge. It's like Central Park, but with a palace, like crazy. Very beautiful park, playgrounds for the kids that did have like a small admission fee for the playground. I think it was like €1, but very well maintained. And we did the sailboats that the kids push around in the little fountain pond area in front of the main like estate. Chateau, I should say, there. So yeah, it was very pretty. And from there, it's not a long walk over to the Notre Dame. So we just walked straight from Luxembourg Gardens over to Notre Dame, and it was gorgeous. Loved it. Maddie was like in awe. That was his favorite thing of the entire Paris part of our trip. And he's like, next time we're going inside and we're going to wait in line and we're going to do that. But the line was extremely long, and it's a lot of advanced only tickets. They do some same day, but I was like, with the kids, it was just not going to happen. And he was okay with that. But he's like, all right, well, now we have to come back to do that, because he was amazed by it. Even with all the, you would never be able to tell with all the fires that happened in the reconstruction. They just did an amazing job. Cool. And fun fact, our chateau where we stayed for my mom's wedding actually provided some of the resources like lumber and different things for the rebuilding. And they had a whole sign at the chateau saying like official provider for the reconstruction of the Notre Dame. So it was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And from there, we walked down the Seine to the Louvre, and we did not go inside because that was another thing with the kids. We didn't really care to see, but I've been there, my cousin's been there, and Maddie was like, that's all right. So we did that. And by that point, the kids' feet were really tired. So they decided they wanted to go ahead and take the metro back. And Blake fell asleep in her stroller again. So Maddie and I were like, all right, well, we'll meet you back over there. We decided to walk. And so we did a nice little 2-hour stroll across the Seine, along the Seine, and then found a little smoothie place that we stopped and got a smoothie. And then they had crepes. So we're like, well, let's get a crepe. One in France, and enjoyed our crepes. And then at that point, my brother had flown in, landed, got to the same hotel that we were staying, and he walked over to meet us to get some pictures of them at the street that we did with the Eiffel Tower. So my mom took the girls back with my cousin. They all did some rest time, and we decided since Blake was waking up at that point, we weren't going to go back and disturb everyone's nap, and just spent some time with my brother by the Eiffel Tower, which was cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I definitely do want to get that location from you. We have a Google map going, so I can add it.
Yes,
for the others
add your
to be
pin.
aware of.
Yes.
All right. And your brother, Regan, had his wife, Steph, with him, and baby Everly. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remembered it without
right.
even finding it in my notes.
That's amazing.
It's such a cool name.
Yes. So she, did really good on the plane. He was very impressed with her. All the kids really, honestly, did really well traveling. And so by the time she got there, she was just like happy-go-lucky baby. I feel like at that stage, she was 10 months old when we went. So she was just kind of like along for the ride and asleep in the stroller or asleep in the carrier, but like just kind of went wherever we went. And after we were done kind of hanging out with them and everybody woke up from naps, we decided to do a Seine River cruise. So it took off from right near the Eiffel Tower, went down past Notre Dame, and then turned around and came back. And so that was a nice way to see things. It was a little bit hard to hear, like they had little things you could lift up and listen to, but I didn't really care about that. Maddie was a little disappointed that he couldn't like learn more about what was going on, but it was just really nice and a great way to see a little bit more or catch things that we didn't get to catch without having to walk as much with the kids. So definitely recommend doing that if you have time.
Yeah, that is something that I was interested in if we can make the time. Is it sort of like in New York, like there's the big companies that do it.
Yeah.
Is it like a central system where it's like mostly the same company running all the boats that do that anyway?
I don't think so. So we went with a main company that was definitely more of a bigger thing. There's a lot of private boats or smaller companies too. So there's a few different companies, but this one offered tickets that you could buy a ticket online, but then go at any point during the day. And they ran like every 20 to 40 minutes, depending. And it was an hour long. So we liked that flexibility just because we didn't really know what time we were going to want to do it. We didn't know how our sleeping patterns were going to be. And so we just decided to buy tickets that day in the morning, but then didn't have to commit to a time until we were ready, which was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Flexibility is always good.
Yes.
All right. What else did you do during this last full day in Paris?
So the only other thing we did, we walked over and got some dinner at a little Italian place, actually, which is funny. We never really ate French food in this part of our France trip, but it was great. The service was great. And everybody was really accommodating with like breaking down the stroller and putting it somewhere because we were a little nervous about that too. But everything was awesome. And we had no trouble with people being annoyed with us for speaking English. We would try and always started with bonjour and, tried to, talk with them. But nobody was snooty or snotty about it. So that was good because my last experience in France, I had like a not great experience trying to like ask for directions and they were just like annoyed with me and like I was like okay, but we had nothing like that this trip. Everyone was really great. So yeah, no, we just got dinner and then headed back because we knew we were going to have an early morning. The car service was coming at 8 a.m. to pick us up the next day.
All right, so now we get to the Disneyland portion of your trip, and you were staying at the Disneyland Hotel with your cousin and her family. And so you were in one hotel, but Regan and his family were at the Hotel New York, which is a short walk away. So can you just give a brief overview of your thoughts on Disneyland Hotel and then Regan's thoughts on Hotel New York?
Yes. So Disneyland Hotel was incredible as expected. I think the coolest part for me personally, and this is probably like nobody else thinks this is cool, but it's inside of security. So you go into the hotel, you go through a metal detector, as does all your stuff. And that's it. If you don't leave that like bubble of the parks and that hotel, you are inside of security for that entire portion. So it is really nice. But the hotel itself is stunning. The service was great. We got there, checked in. Our room was not quite ready, but still ended up being ready before 4:00. And we had requested adjoining rooms. That happened. They ask you on the app like your top 2 favorite princesses out of the options they have. And each of us got our top pick. I had said Frozen for my kids. My cousin had said Sleeping Beauty, and our adjoining rooms had those themes. So it's just like, I don't know, felt like Disney magic. Like, how did that happen?
Yes, I'm sure it was. It was Disney magic.
Yes. And it's, a huge resort. We did not have enough time to explore the entire hotel, but we did get to they have something called the Royal Gathering, which is only for people staying at Disneyland Hotel. And it's similar to on the cruise, I've heard. I've not done this on a Disney cruise, but where you book in the app and you show up and it's just one princess, but it's your own private time with that princess. And it's kind of a surprise of who it will be. And so we got there. The first princess was Rapunzel. And so that was super fun. Got to get our picture with Rapunzel. She signed our matting, and the girls got to spend just 5 minutes with her, longer than you would get in the parks. And they book every 5-minute time slots. And once you use yours, you can book again. So once we saw her, we went ahead and booked again for that night because there were available time slots, and did it again that evening and got Belle, these are my 2 favorite princesses, Rapunzel and Belle. So I was like, this is awesome. And Maddie didn't come in with us the second time. He stayed out with the stroller, and he's like, I could tell by your excitement that it was Belle when you were going into the room, because he could hear from where he was sitting. So yeah, that was really fun. And they do have a kids club down in that section right next to the Royal Gathering that they give you 2 hours that you can reserve for free. We did not do that, but I thought that was really nice. They do have an indoor pool at that hotel. We didn't go to the pool, but we did peek in there. And they have Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. They have a couple of sit-down restaurants. They have a couple of gift shops. So it was massive. I realized like after we left, I never even went in a gift shop. And I was like, what was I thinking? I can't believe I didn't ever go in there. But we just ran out of time. So we loved the hotel. The rooms were huge. Very nice. Would definitely recommend. My brother, who stayed at the New York Art of Marble hotel, he is a huge Marvel fan. So he said walking into that hotel is like his dream come true. Like anything he could think of in a Marvel hotel. They just had all these really cool, different larger than life Iron Man things and Captain America shields and photo opportunities. And so he was blown away. He said the room itself was nice. It wasn't anything to like write home about necessarily. But he thought that it was nice. Our room at the Disneyland Hotel reminded me of Princess Diaries 2 when she walks in that closet. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. She walks in and she's like, that's how I felt walking. I was like, everything lit up so fancy and like the headboards and you pulled out, oh, there's an extra bed. And like, it was wild. And Regan was like, our room was a room with beds, but he's like, the hotel itself was really, really nice. And the room was nice. So, it wasn't like it was bad or anything, but he said it was funny walking into the lobby, you're like blown away. And then you get to the room and you're like, okay. Yeah. It's a hotel.
Yeah. We're going to be staying at the hotel in New York primarily because they had family suites for a really good price that have 2 bathrooms.
2 bathrooms. Yeah, that's what you said.
We're super excited about that. But I don't anticipate we'll be staying in the room all that much anyway. Yeah. I do want to ask because I think that I've heard that they have a speakeasy there.
I have heard that also. We did not go.
He didn't get a chance to go. Okay.
He did not get a chance to go.
I mean, he's got a baby.
He's got a baby, and they only stayed one night, so they weren't there that first night that we were there. Yeah. So we were just on such a limited time schedule, but all the reason to go back someday.
All right. So you got picked up at 8 a.m. on your Easy Go shuttle. What time were you walking into the parks that day?
Yeah, great question. So we got to the hotel, I think, right about 9 o'clock, and we had the Royal Gathering shortly thereafter at 9:45. We had booked that because we're like, well, we're already going to be there. Let's just book it before we go into the park. So we walked into the park. It was 10 o'clock. So it was very quick. And I think we were in our Royal Gathering a little early, 9:30 it looks like. So we walked into the door, it looks like from my videos, 9:08 through security to the hotel and then to the parks at 10. And they have true extra magic hour there. So hotel guests get in 8:30 to 9:30, or that's what it was when we were there. So when we got there, it was probably the worst time to get there because all the regular people were trying to get into the gates. Right. So it did take us a little bit longer, but that was the only time that we really had to wait significantly long in the gates.
You did not have like the overall lightning lane, right? But you thought you were going to buy some like individual ones. Did you end up doing that?
We did. So we did not on our first day, but we did end up buying them at some point during the trip. I think our second day before my cousin left, because they only stayed one night as well. They stayed our first night and then my brother was there the second night. But we ended up buying it for Big Thunder Mountain. And we went on a weekend in June in the summer. I did not think the lines were that bad, and there were waits for things, but it was funny. Maddie and I talked about this, and things that we thought would be so long, like such a long wait, we walked right on. So like Phantom Manor, we thought, it's going to be at least half an hour wait, 5 minutes, walked on. And it could have been the timing of when we went on things, but our very first day, we got a lot more done than we thought. So it was funny. I was listening to your episode today that you did with Kelly the Second. I can't remember what her last name is. Kelly C. Okay. And just talking about the pressure that we have as the planners. And I felt a lot of pressure because I was the one that really wanted to do this. Obviously the kids wanted to do it as well, but all the adults were like indifferent about going to Disneyland Paris. Like they like Disney, but they're not like as crazy as I am about it. So I felt a lot of pressure to make this perfect for all of them. And the first day I decided, I don't know this park. I have no idea where anything is. outside of looking at a map. And so I am just going to kind of let the kids decide what they want to do instead of plan, because that's how I usually am. And very much could relate to Kelly being like, if this one thing doesn't happen, the whole trip is ruined. Like I was very much in that mindset. So I was like cracking up at that when I was listening to it yesterday. But we got to the park and kind of told the kids, all right, this is all new to us. We don't know what's here other than what we can see on the app. So we're going to let you each pick a ride that you're interested in off the app, and we will do that. And if we get to do more, it's a bonus. But if not, then that's okay. And this is just our first day. So let's see how it goes. So we walked right to Fantasyland. And of course, they see the carousel, and all of them are like, the carousel. So we get on the carousel, and it breaks down. And my cousin looked at me, and she's been to Disneyland Paris once before, and she's like, this is what happened to me. Every ride broke down. It's not the same magic. And I was like, oh no, like panicking. And so I was like, okay, it's all right. We're going to let kid number one pick. So Blake picked Dumbo. We waited about 45 minutes, and that was the longest I think we waited for anything like the entire trip. But did Dumbo for Blake, did Tea Party for my niece Liv, and that was...
So far, all you're doing is going in circles, literally.
Yeah, just
Carousel,
spinning.
Dumbo,
Spinning.
Teacups. Okay.
Yes.
What was next?
Just spinning. And then we got lunch at Bella Notte, which is right over there in Fantasyland, and they have that cute little Mickey-shaped pizza.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was cute. It was definitely tasted like a frozen pizza. Nothing to write home about. And this is where we discovered that France doesn't believe in ice cubes. And so they like don't really give you ice in your drinks. And they also don't give you cups that you can like walk around the park with. So when you order lunch, it's not a cup you can take to go. It's like a plastic, like my grandma used to have them. It looks like it's from the Dollar Tree, like cup that they rinse and reuse. And that's like true in most of France. So like that's true if you eat in at McDonald's. It's like these reusable cups that they wash and reuse, which is so crazy to me. So we ordered all this food, and then I was like, all right, well, we can like walk and eat. And then I was like, no, we can't, because none of this is stuff we can take with us. So that was a little bit of a learning curve for quick service.
So at the places where you might stop and get a snack, did they sell beverages at those locations that you could walk around with?
Bottled, yes. So they did have bottled, but not like ice, like Coke or like water even, that you could just walk around like with a cup of it. And I did, you know what? We didn't get coffee. My mom did, and I did not get to ask her what kind of cup it was in. But that must have been something she could walk around with, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think about that. But yeah, only bottled at like any other kind of cart thing. So it was different. Okay. So after lunch, we headed to my oldest niece, London's pick, which was Phantom Manor. 5-minute wait. That is the coolest version of Haunted Mansion, in my opinion. I'm so excited for you to get to do it. I think it's so unique. It's much more of what I would think of for a haunted house, to the point where my kids are not scared of Haunted Mansion. They love it. They think it's silly. Blake was like, that was a little creepy. She was not sure about it, because it is a little creepy. It's a little creepy, but it's nothing like gory or gross, but it's just different. But without spoilers, it's amazing. So highly recommend. We got to do that a couple of times. And then we headed to Eileen's pick, which was also my pick, so I'm so glad she did it, Big Thunder Mountain. And I had also heard this is the best out of all the parks, and I highly agree. It is so good. It's longer. It's a little bit more intense. And something that we were not sure about is if Blake was going to be tall enough to ride Big Thunder. I don't know if I mentioned that in the pre-trip. She was like just under 40 at our last trip in March and didn't get to go on Soarin' and was very disappointed. So I was like, okay, she has to be tall enough. And she had just made it. And they checked her height like every single point, every single time. But she was tall enough. And so she was so excited. She loved it. And my oldest niece, who is 9, was like, I'm not going on that. I don't want to go on that ride. But I was like, Blake's going to go. She's technically 3 still on this trip. She turned 4 the week later after we got back. But I was like, you're not going to go? She's going to go. And she's like, no. But then we all got off and had such a great time that she was like, all right, fine. Now I want to go. So we went again that night. And that during the day did have a pretty lengthy wait. It said 60 minutes and it ended up being 80. So I lied. That was what we waited the longest for. But then it's weird. In the evenings, both nights we were there, it dropped to like 30 minutes and was less than 30 minutes. So when we went back, just like before the fireworks, not super late, I think around 8 o'clock, it was only, it said 30-minute wait, but we waited about 20. So she rode it then and also loved it, and now is obsessed with Big Thunder as well. So it's a great one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that Big Thunder in Magic Kingdom has calmed down.
I know. It's kind of a bummer.
I know. Jeanette and I were calling it the mildest ride in the wilderness.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that on your trip, and you were saying about your kidney stone.
Yes.
You can't get out those kidney stones now. Well, you can on the one in Paris.
Okay.
So
all right. I'm excited. Just in case there's anything left.
That's right. Yeah. Hopefully there's nothing left. But it was great. Yeah. That's my favorite out of anything at Disneyland Paris was Big Thunder, which I was hoping it would be, and it was. It definitely was great. And then my mom was like, let's go see if our room is ready. So we walked back to the hotel, did our second royal gathering where we met Belle, kind of freshened up. And my niece Liv, who is 7, she was like, my feet hurt. I'm not going anywhere. I'm laying on this bed and watching French cartoons. And my cousin was like, okay, I guess I'm staying here with her. And my mom was already asleep on the bed. And so I looked at Maddie. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, well, we're here. Let's go back in. So my oldest niece, London, and my 2 girls, and Maddie and I went back in, which is so fun to get to have some time with, like, you know, my niece sometimes on her own and different things too with each of them. That happened this trip. So that was fun. But we went back in and I said, all right, well, you guys already picked all your rides. What else do you want to do? And Blake was like, Pirates. So she loves Pirates of the Caribbean. So we went on that, which was a really fun version too. Also a little bit different, but still had most of the classic elements. And for some reason, my niece has been on it, but she like did not remember it. And so she was like, is there any drops? Is there going to be a drop? And Maddie was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go on it. I was like, okay, well, no. It's not like a big drop. It's a
baby drop.
Yes. And so after she went on it, she's like, oh, okay. But she was all nervous about it. And I was like, no, you've been on this. She's like, I was little. I don't remember it. So, yeah, they liked that. And then Maddie surprised me. And he's like, I want to do It's a Small World. And I was like, oh, okay. So we did It's a Small World. And that was actually fun too, because they have a very large like USA section compared to like obviously us. So it was kind of fun to see their spin on the US. It was a lot of like football, cornfields, like really, and then like New York. it was hilarious. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was worth going on. Not as good as the Disneyland version, but to me better than the Disney World version.
Okay.
So that was fun. And then we went into Disney Village to get dinner, just because we were like, the park food there, I'm not gonna lie, is okay. And we didn't make any dining reservations until our very last day. Just the 4 of us did, but we went into Disney Village and just got some quick food. They had a Five Guys, which is so weird, and this pizza pasta Italian place. And so we kind of did a little combo of different things from those places and shared food and headed back into the parks. And by then London was like, everybody needs to go on Pirates of the Caribbean. It's the second best ride to Big Thunder. And so her sister was like, okay, well, let's go on Pirates. And they ended up going on it once with my mom, my cousin, and I, and then again twice with Maddie. So they went on it 3 more times.
They really liked it.
They really liked it, and it had like no wait. So they just kind of walked on through the queue and kept going back on. So that was fun for them. And then we went on Big Thunder again, which was the shorter wait. And by that time it was getting late. So it was like 10 o'clock and it was still so light there. So it was very different, but we had reserved seating for the fireworks, which I cannot recommend enough. You can book it 7-ish days before your check-in time. Okay. And it's a reserved spot right in front of the castle. And it depends on how many people, I guess, do it. But we had like a good amount of space between us and the people around us. It's not like we were sardined. They do let you kind of sit and hang out there. And then about 15 minutes before it starts, you have to stand up and move forward and all of that. But we still were like not nearly as crowded as the people behind us. The people behind us were like on top of each other, but like behind the ropes outside of the reserved area. So it was like, I think 20 euros a person. So to me, that's pretty worth it, because you don't like it. Yeah, like when you think about the dessert party or things at Magic Kingdom, it's so pricey. And so that's great if you can do that, but this is much more affordable. So I think if you're going, it's worth doing for sure. And the nighttime show I liked it. Maddie thought it was fine, but I thought it was cute.
Is that something, I know that you used my friend Katie as your travel agent because she's a good friend of yours. She's been on the show before, so I will make sure to link to her previous episodes in the show notes. Is that something that she had to do for you, or you were able to just do it on your app yourself, or how did you work that out?
Yeah, she could have done it for me and she offered to, but I was like, oh, it's okay. We're already going to be on looking for different things anyway. So we just did it and it was not complicated.
Okay.
So yeah, we went ahead and took care of that ourselves, but she would have done it for us.
Okay, good to know.
Yep.
One thing I did not hear yet that I know was on your must-do list was a glass of champagne on Main Street.
Yes. So this did not happen our first day, but the next day we did get a glass of champagne. And now I am the proud owner of 3 plastic Disneyland Paris champagne glasses because nobody else wanted theirs. I'm like, well, I'm keeping them all.
Nobody
I wish I had a 4th.
Theirs?
They were
my
like,
goodness.
they're all like minimalists. And I'm like, keep every single thing. So I was like, of course we're keeping this. Are you kidding me? So yes, I have them and we'll use them because that's who I am. But yeah, they're in our cabinet at home. So yeah, yep, we did get it the second day. So we went to sleep that night and then I said to the group like, all right, my plan originally was come and rope drop Big Thunder, but I don't think we necessarily need to do that. So I'm going to go to Disney Adventure World. Who wants to come? And only Eiley was like, me. And everybody else was like, we want to sleep in. And I was like, you guys, but this is like so my family. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So I said, if Blake is still sleeping, Maddie, I will let you sleep in. If Blake's awake, you have to come with me because I can't go on like anything with Eiley that she's not tall enough for or whatever. Yeah. So he said, okay. And they were all still sleeping. So Eiley and I got up. We went over to Disney Adventure World and I have us leaving the hotel at 7:30. Their park opens at 8:30, but what I realized is because we were inside of security, all of the other Disney hotels are outside of security. Everybody else was lined up at security. So we were the first people in line at Disney Adventure World. And I got there and the first day I was like, okay, where is everybody? And then a few more families came and I was like, oh, okay, maybe we're just here a little early. And we are like typically first people to rope drop people, or I am with the kids. And then all of a sudden, massive crowd came through security. And I was like, oh, that's right, because everybody else is outside of security. So that is a huge perk to staying at Disneyland Hotel also. But we got there that morning and rope dropped Crush's coaster, which was another one that is unique to Disney Adventure World, Disneyland Paris. And it was okay. It was one that if you were going to do it, you either want to pay for Premier one single like ride access or rope drop, because as soon as we got out of the line, we were like the second group of people on the ride. It was an 80-minute wait, and that's during extra magic hour. So
okay. I'm going to latch on to the fact that you said it was just okay because it's going to be down for renovation when I'm there.
Okay.
So I'm not going to get to ride it. So I'm just going to be like, oh, it wouldn't have been worth it anyway.
That's right. Just tell yourself that. Yeah, I really did think, I felt like it was a combination of Space Mountain meets a baby Cosmic Rewind. Like it's because it spins a little bit, but it was very short. Half the time you can't see anything. And I was just like, okay, that was fun. I said, Eiley, what'd you think? She's like, cool. But she wasn't like, it's my favorite. She's like, I still like Big Thunder better. I was like, me too, girl. All right. But Maddie actually liked it. He was not that excited about riding it. And he ended up doing it later in the trip. And he was like, oh, that was way better than I thought. And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Like how, different people think different things. But we did that. And then we wanted to take advantage of our extra magic hour. So we walked over to Remy's and that was a walk on. But then we got to the second room and it broke down and we waited about 10 minutes and we got evacuated off of Remy's, which I was kind of excited about. Because I'm a weird Disney person.
That's how you know you are a true Disney nerd, is when you're like, yes, evacuated.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been evacuated off of a ride. So it was fun. So we got a pass to come back. They gave us actually just like a paper pass that they wrote like 2 people for this ride return anytime on this date. And so Maddie they ended up letting Maddie take both girls on it later. So I just didn't go. I was actually watching my niece at the time that we went back that night. My baby niece Everly. But yeah, so we got off of that and went over to Web Slingers, which also was basically a walk on. I think most people at Disney Adventure World, you kind of have two options. You can rope drop Crushes or you can rope drop Arendelle. And that's what most people go to. So just a heads up, if you want to do either of those things without paying or waiting in a really long line, that's what you want to rope drop. But yeah, so we did that and then we got some breakfast. And by that point, everybody else was starting to get up and get moving. So we headed back into the Disneyland park and Eiley had told me, I really want to meet Mickey. And I was like, okay. So I texted Maddie and said, does Blake want to meet Mickey? And he was like, we're still like getting dressed and I'm sure she would, but I'm not going to rush her. She doesn't know what she doesn't know won't hurt her. So I was like, okay, so there's a few character meet and greets that are virtual queue only, which is kind of nice. So we got in the virtual queue at 9:45 and we ended up getting called back fairly quick and we met Mickey, I'm looking at my timestamps here, at 10:30, so like 45 minutes later. And when it said like we did a little shopping in between in some shops and it said like it's time to head over to Fantasyland, and so we went over there and did that. But yeah, she had a good time with that, and by that point everybody else was coming into the park, so we did some family pictures outside of the castle. There is still a little bit of construction. I'm not sure. Hopefully it will be done by the time you're there, Virginia. I'm not sure how long it's going on, but it's not as bad as it had been initially. And if you go to the left side of the castle, it's a lot quieter and, to me, better pictures. So we found a good spot over there. We did the little tunnel with the dragon underneath the castle, which was cute. I think people really hyped that up, and so I was like, ooh, okay, this is going to be really cool. And it was cool, but it wasn't like, I don't know, I was just like, okay, cool.
You don't
we
hang
walked
out
in
down
there.
You just see it and leave. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we walked around the stained glass section of the castle, and by that time it was time for the parade. And this was something that I wasn't really like gung-ho about doing. I was like, cool if we do it, but if not, that's okay. But my cousin really wanted to do the parade. And you can pay for reserved access spot for that too, but we did not. And in the end, she said when I did her, podcast episode with her for my podcast, she was like, I wish we would have paid for it because you get smushed. Like we were at the front on the curb near the castle, had a great spot, got there about 30 minutes early, and people came about 5 minutes before and were like pushing their kids in front of our stroller to like be able to see. And like this lady was like setting her arm on my cousin's shoulder to like hold her camera up, and they just have like no boundaries.
Oh my God, personal space.
Yes, they do not believe in that at Disneyland Paris. Like in the line queues, people are on top of each other. It is very different.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's just a culture thing, and I don't think it's a French thing because there were a lot of people from all over the place. But yeah, like a lot of people saying, oh, excuse me, my kids are trying to see. And we're like, well, that's great, but you should have been here half an hour ago. And so we had let a couple of kids kind of step in front of Blake in her stroller to kind of be able to see, but then more kids kept, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like, we're not trying to be rude, but we're like standing like this and squished together. So that is, it probably would have been worth it to pay for the parade access if you don't want to be squished by other people.
Very good tip. Thank you.
Yes. And after that, my cousin and mom and her two girls headed out to go to the wedding venue. And my brother came into the parks and met us. And so we did, before they left, we did Big Thunder one more time with Premier Access. And so we purchased it. And it is similar to if people have been to Disneyland with their single rider, the return times are almost immediate. Like you say, oh, that line is too long, I'm going to book a pass. And it's sometimes an hour later, but sometimes like 5 minutes later. So it's not the same as at Disney World where you're booking things a week in advance and they sell out. It doesn't seem to be that way. The only thing that I noticed that sold out for rides was the Frozen attraction. I think just because it was so new. We could have bought it, but it was selling out later into the day, or like if you didn't get there in the morning, was sold out entirely. So everything else seemed to have a pretty close return time, which was nice. But yeah, we did that. And then they left. We did rider swap with my brother so that he could go, and we kept Everly for a little bit. And then we took Everly with us to eat some lunch over in Tomorrowland while my brother and his wife did Space Mountain. And so we kind of rider swapped that as well. Mm-hmm. And Hyperspace Mountain is intense. It is very different than any Space Mountain. It does have flips. You do go upside down. Inversions, I should say.
Is it like Rock and Roller Coaster in terms of intensity?
It's like Rock. Yes, but a little longer.
Okay.
And the restraint system is what we did not like. It's not just the over your shoulders. It's like across your chest. And so it's very tight. And even Maddie, who does not have breasts like I do, was like, this is tight. And I was like, you think it's tight? It's tight. It is very tight. And he actually asked the cast member to like undo his so he could not have it as tight. And he's like, nope, it's just the same. Like, it's just the way the restraint is. So the ride was fun, but because of the restraint system, I was like, I don't know that I would need to do that again. It was just not, comfortable at all. So I'm curious to see if you think the same. It's worth trying just to like go because of course you're there, but it's not one that I was like, oh yeah, I love this and need to do it again, which was a little disappointing.
I don't think I've ever ridden a coaster that has that sort of restraint system.
I have not either. They're all either over the shoulders or like a lap bar that I've been on. Yeah. Or like, I think one at Universal used to be like side to side kind of thing, but not, it was very different. Not comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we walked over to Disney Adventure World and did the Iron Man Flight Force, which is their rethemed Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith. And Maddie and Regan really liked it because it's all Marvel, everything. So they were all into that. I thought it was good. Yeah, it's the same exact track, same exact coaster, but just rethemed. So just got me mentally prepared for ours no longer being Aerosmith and turning into Muppets, and just like, it's different, but it was still cool in its own way. So I'm interested to see that when we get back to Hollywood Studios. And then we did a little bit of downtime at the hotel. Nobody slept, but just kind of took some time in the air conditioning and relaxed, and then went back over into the park and let the kids play. They have like a really cool play space in Adventureland that's all these different caverns and a pirate ship and little playground area. So we took turns riding the Indiana Jones coaster while the kids kind of played on that play area. And it did have like a foamy cushion floor. So even Everly was like crawling around and waddling around on the floor. And if she fell, it wasn't like it was concrete or anything, which was really nice.
I know it's not the same thing, but this is giving me like major feelings about like, oh, Tom Sawyer Island.
Yes, it did remind me of that. And Maddie never really, I don't even know if he ever went to Tom Sawyer Island. And I think I said something like, I wish they had more play spaces like this at Disney, because I'm like, the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is gone. The Dig, Dino Dig Boneyard is gone. And Tom Sawyer is gone. And so like, as a kid who grew up in the Disney parks, I'm like, this is so sad. And it's just such a nice thing for kids to be able to go get some energy out and play while you guys are doing the big rides. So but we did, the Indiana Jones coaster was also different. I remember seeing a special on this on Disney Channel when they were building it back in the day and thinking it was so cool, and it was fun. Some people really hate it and think it's intense, but I thought it was better than Space Mountain. Space Mountain, as far as like comfortability, it didn't bother me more than that or anything. And Maddie's favorite ride at Disneyland is the Indiana Jones attraction. So he was like really hoping for something a little more. It's like has the title, but nothing really else about it is Indiana Jones. And so I'm like, well, that's why we're looking forward to Animal Kingdom's new attraction too.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Yeah. Then we did Buzz, which was about a 20-minute wait. And then my kids, I said, all right, you have one more choice of what you want to do before we go over to Disney Adventure World for the nighttime show again. And of course, they picked Big Thunder. So back on Big Thunder we went, which was great. And again, evening time, we rode it at 9:22, this says, and we waited maybe 15 minutes. So it's a great thing to do late in the day. And then we walked over to Disney Adventure World and did their nighttime show. And it was more of like a world of color, like projections, and the drones though were the highlight for sure, because they have a really cool drone element. And Maddie liked this one better than the castle show. I didn't like it better, but I did like it. And we did the reserved spot for this as well, which I, again, thought was well worth it. And we had a great spot with not big crowds around us. We had plenty of space. And they had like just about anything you could imagine in that show. It was like Zootopia, Marvel, which of course, again, Maddie was like, oh my gosh, Marvel, and Hercules and Mulan and all these characters that aren't just like all the princesses that you would usually think of, I guess, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we liked that. And that was, at the end of our second day.
All right. So you have essentially, I think, like a half a day left before you had to leave to go to the wedding on the following day. So I had noted that you were going to rope drop Adventure World to do Crush's Coaster. Did you do that now that you had done it and were like, it was fine?
No, we did not. So this is another day that Maddie was like, he's like, I want to sleep in again. And so I said, okay, no problem. I'm going to take both girls then and do Arendelle since we had not done that yet. And so both girls and I were the first people again at rope drop. And this was a Monday morning. So it was definitely a noticeable difference in the number of people in the parks this day, which was kind of nice. But we got there, got to Arendelle, got all ready, and it did not open at rope drop. They were like, I'm so sorry. There's been a delay. And Blake just like lost her marbles and she was like, Elsa, crying. And I was like,
you're like, girl, let it go.
I know, let it go. And also like, you're spoiled and you've been on, this is the same ride at Epcot, girl. Like, it's going to be okay. So I was like, it's all right. We're going to try to meet Anna and Elsa because their meet and greet is right there. So we got in the virtual queue at 8:45 and we stayed in line for Frozen because they're like, we don't know how long it's going to be, their usual spiel. And we were on the ride by 9 o'clock. So it was like half an hour delayed. But I called Maddie in the middle of Blake's meltdown and I was like, so sorry. Please make your way over to the park because she is losing her mind. And poor Eiley is just like, now what are we going to do? Now why are we here and woke up early for nothing? And I'm like, no, it's okay. We're still going to have fun.
There's other things we can do.
There's other things. So we rode it and the ride is the same as Epcot pretty much, but the actual queue and like the space is just so cool. I really wish they would have put the coaster that's in Hong Kong's version. That's like Sven's sleigh ride or something like that. I thought they were going to do that here, so I was very disappointed when they didn't, and it definitely needs a little more in that park, which we can get into, but it was cute. And then we did the meet and greet with the virtual queue for Anna and Elsa, and they have an 8:45, so only early entry hotel guests can get in that first virtual queue, which is, again, kind of nice. And we waited, 10 minutes to see them. That was super magical. It's been a long time. I think Blake was like a baby and does not remember meeting them. So that was super fun for
English?
Her.
There.
They do. So it's kind of cool. Okay. They actually ask you before you get up to the character, do you speak English or French? And so the character can speak both, which is really cool.
That's really nice.
Yeah. I don't know if that's always how it is, but that was with every character or character attendant. So like with Mickey, they asked, and then the character attendant spoke to us in English. And after Frozen, we did our princess breakfast at the Regal View, and same thing there. They would come and say before the character came to you, do you speak English or French? And then we heard the character speaking French to some tables next to us, and then would come up to us and speak in English. It was really amazing, honestly.
Wow. Love that.
Yeah.
How was the princess breakfast at Regal View? Good food, or was it mostly just about the princesses?
It was mostly about the princesses, but the food was good. It was just small portions. And this is kind of like same with Topolino's. When we went, you get like the one plated entree. It's not like breakfast buffet, but they still did bring you a lot of like starters, so to speak. Like they brought you this really cool rainbow croissant, and they brought you they had hot chocolate like for Eiley in a beautiful teacup, and she was like, yes please. She was like so into it, and had different juices and things like that. So Maddie, it's funny, with after Topolino's, he's like, I don't get this for the price, but with Regal View, he was like, okay, I kind of see why people do this, because the building was beautiful, very well done, And we got a little bit more time with the princesses than we did with Mickey and Minnie and everybody at Topolino's. We felt a little rushed there, which is not something I've heard from everybody, but that was our experience. And so here we really felt like, okay, they weren't rushing you through. We got to take our time with them. And they did like sign our little frame matting, and then did a little pose with the girls and taught like Merida. So the princesses that we got to meet were Merida, which was so funny. That's who Blake was most excited to meet, which cracked me up. I don't know, like she loves Merida. And she like taught them how to shoot a bow and arrow and was like practicing the poses with them. And Ariel was one, Aurora, and Belle. And the other options I think that we didn't get were Mulan and Jasmine. So they have some really good ones. And what's neat about them is they're in their like traditional or like villagers commoners garb. So like Belle is in her blue dress, Merida is in her regular dress, but like Aurora was in her like Briar Rose outfit, not like the pink dress. And
I love her Briar Rose outfit anyway. It's so pretty.
Me too. So it was super cool. And then Ariel was in her like dress, like did not obviously have fins. She was on land. So that was really cool. So yeah, they were all really great and great with the kids, and tried to make it interactive and ask them questions and things. And the food was good. Even though it was small portions, it was all very good. So yeah, we really enjoyed it.
Okay. Where did you head after that?
After that, we met back up with my brother because they did not do the breakfast with us. And we did the Tangled spin attraction, the new one. And similarly, that has really low wait times in the morning and evening. But of course, at the time we went, it was like 35 minutes. And so Maddie said, let's just buy the Premier One pass. It was €4, so very cheap. And so we just decided to do that so that we didn't have to stand in the long line since we were limited on time at this point. And it was really cute. I like it better than Alien Swirling Saucers. I wish they had a longer Rapunzel like dark ride, but I thought it was better than nothing. I love Rapunzel. Then we watched
her too. Poor Rapunzel. She gets rides like this. Bathrooms.
And they had a cute little Rapunzel and Flynn Rider show right across from it. So we got off and that was starting. And Blake was like, I want to do that. And so I took Blake. Eiley was like, at that point was like, I need a snack. I need to sit down. So I was like, girl, we just ate breakfast, but all right. So Maddie took her and got a snack, and I took Blake to watch the show. And she really enjoyed that. It's just like a 10-minute show. It's not very long. And then we decided to do rider swap with my brother for Tower of Terror. So we went first, and it is definitely creepier. It is, I loved it. But the little girl in it is very creepy, and she like speaks in French and English. And the cast member we had that like put us into the elevator was so good. And again, spoke French and English, was like going through everything twice, but just like very funny, and was like, oh, I didn't see you, pull on your yellow strap, and like getting right in the person's face and being like, pull on the yellow strap. And the guy's just like, what? Like clearly did not speak English. So then he like said it in French, and then he's like, what language do you speak? Like just being funny. So it was, he was hilarious. So we loved that. And then we took the kids, or I ended up taking the kids. Maddie didn't come with me. He went to go find something to snack on himself. But I took the kids to the Together, the Pixar musical show, because it was right near there. So I took baby Everly and my girls, and we went in there, and it was really cool because it was a live orchestra. So they played the music. Yeah. You weren't allowed to record or take any pictures, which I was like, no, my content creator heart is so sad. But it was really cool. The show was very well done. That's the only show outside of like the nighttime shows that we got to see, and the Rapunzel show, but that was like a short little thing. So Mickey the Magician, I've heard, is really good, but that was closed while we were there. The Frozen show was closed while we were there. So we missed the Lion King show in Disneyland. That's one thing I wish we got to do. But yeah, it was really well done. So definitely recommend. The kids loved it. Everly fell asleep, which was fine. And yeah, so we watched that, and my brother did Tower and then went over and did Crushes, and Maddie met them over there and did Crushes as well while I had the kids. And so we just kind of slowly made our way back over. And by that point, I was like, all right, we need to find some lunch real quick and head out so we can make it on time for this welcome dinner that night that we're supposed to be at.
You had rented some cars from a company called Sixt that we talked about in your pre-trip. So how did that process go once you actually had to go and get the cars?
It's like you know without knowing all the chaos that happened.
Oh, God. Okay.
So my mom did too. And the day before she did it first. And she was like, oh, it's so easy. There's not a person, but you walk up and you go there and you press in your little code that they give you in the app. Your keys drop. You go to the spot and you drive away. And I'm like, perfect. Great. So she tested it out for us ahead of time. So my brother and I, we go to eat in Disney Village, just like quick, literally at the McDonald's there. And then Maddie went back to the hotel to kind of get our stuff ready. My plan was I was going to pull around and we could load the car. And my brother's like, we're going to take our time. We're not in a rush. It's okay if we're late for the dinner. And I was like, no, we cannot be late. We cannot be late.
So it's a wedding event. You can't be late.
I know. My brother's very different than me. I'm very type A. So I was like, we have to be there. So I rushed to the parking garage and get there and find the little box. And I'm like, okay, I whip up my app. I put in the code and it's like error. And I was like, okay, let me try this again. Error. And I was like, okay. So like walk into the train station. There's no Sixt counter. There's an Avis counter. So I like knock on the door because the door was closed. And the guy just like ignores me, does not come to the door. I was like, okay. So like walk back out to the little box and call the customer service number. And I called my brother first and I'm like crying and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't get the keys out and we're going to be late. And he was like, oh, all right, I'm coming. So begrudgingly walked over to the parking garage and we're talking to the customer service guy. And this random man walks up out of literally nowhere in the parking garage. And he's like, parlez français. And I'm like, no, un petit. And he was like, okay, he dials a number on his phone. He talks to them. They tell me, follow this guy. He'll bring you to your car. And I'm like, I'm about to be murdered in this parking garage in France. And my brother's like, all right, I'll wait here. I'm like, no, come with me. He's like, I'm going to get my keys. So he's like at the kiosk doing his thing. I follow this man and he hands me the keys and there's the car. And he's like, you're good to go. And I said, okay. And I was like Googling like car seat in French and like asking him. And he's like, yep, in the car. And I looked and there was a car seat. And I was like, what happened? And he just was like, I don't know. And the only thing I can think is they had assigned us a smaller car than what we paid for initially. And so I talked to customer service 2 days before and said like, we really need the car we paid for. We have a lot of stuff. We have kids. And so they gave us the car we paid for, but I guess the app didn't translate that. And so there was like showing the error code is all they could figure out because my brother's worked seamlessly. My mom's worked seamlessly. So if you have to change whatever car they assign you to, just know you might run into some trouble. But otherwise, for everybody else, it was easy.
But why would they change which car you were assigned to? Like you picked what you picked because you needed it.
I guess it's one of those things like they didn't think it was going to be available or it went to another site. And so they were like, oh, you can have this instead. They said it's a 5-seater. I said, yeah, but it's significantly smaller. So yes, we only have 4 people, but we have a lot of stuff that we need to fit in the trunk, including a stroller. So luckily all of our stuff fit fine in the proper car. But yeah, that was a little bit of a problem. So just be on the lookout for whatever you pay for. Make sure that's what you get. And, yeah, if you do have to change, make sure you talk to customer service about what the new the new kiosk number is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Once you had the cars in hand, how was your drive over to Moulin, I think is how
Moulin,
I should pronounce it, where you were meeting up for the wedding welcome dinner?
It was easy. It was mostly highway the way that we went. There were a few tolls and some of them were just like tap to pay, like you could use your card. Some of them you had to pull a ticket and then wherever you got off the next split, you would pay for it. So I think we went through 3 different tolls and 2 of them were ticket and one of them was tap. But yeah, overall, very easy drive.
Okay. Good. And how was Moulin in terms of the locations that you got to see while you were there?
It was a very cute little tiny French town. They had a really cute little downtown area, quote unquote, that had some shops and some restaurants that we went to. There's a place called the Grand Cafe that we ate at as a huge group on the 3rd day that we were there. And that was very beautiful inside. The biggest thing about Mulan is, as most places are in Europe, we got very spoiled with our time in Paris. It was like highs of 70s, lows of like 50s. And by the time we got there, it was 95, and they do not have air conditioning like anywhere, including the chateau we were staying in. So it was very toasty, and this was like when France was going through its heat wave. People in Paris were all jumping in the Seine and doing crazy things because it was so hot. But I get it because it was pretty hot. So the restaurant did not have air conditioning, so we were all kind of like sweating in the restaurant.
And no ice in your drink to help you.
And no ice in your drink. Yes. As someone who's always like extra ice, it was a big change. So we went to their local Eclair, which is like a Target, and bought every single standing fan that they had in that store for the chateau, and put them in everybody's rooms and left the windows open until it got late. But there were also bats. So you can't leave your windows open all night. Yeah. It was beautiful. Like the chateau is gorgeous. And we had a great experience overall there. But yes, it was very, very hot. And it's an old house. So like the bottom floor and the main rooms, it did not feel horrible. But when you went upstairs to your room at night, it was like, whoa, it is cooking up here. So that was not fun. But overall, Mulan was beautiful. We did a little girls' day down at a little, actually, English tea shop that they are from the UK but have a place in France, so it was easy for me to communicate with them to plan this girls' day for my mom. And we did a little like drinks and desserts thing. So they had like champagne and different wine and non-alcoholic drinks as well. Like the kids got milkshakes. And then they had desserts like platters for us, which was really nice. And so that little town was very cute as well, which was about 30 minutes south of Mulan. But yeah, so that's kind of what we did there. But when we got there, back to my dress story from the beginning, on the Wednesday, the wedding was Friday, and my mom came and she said, I have some bad news. And I was like, okay. And she said, unfortunately, I can't find your dress. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, it's not in the dress bag. And she's like, I think I might have left it in North Carolina. Like, I don't know where it went. It was the last dress to go in. I don't remember if I took it out to like rearrange things, but she's like, it's not here. And so I was like, okay, you couldn't have found this out when we were in Paris, like the fashion capital of the world. Now we're in this tiny town with nothing. And so I was like, okay. So on the day we went downtown, the Thursday, which was the day before the wedding, or no, I guess it was the Wednesday, 2 days before the wedding, I walked around that town and scoured every shop because she wanted everyone to wear blue dresses of whatever variety. But I was like, okay, I need a specifically blue dress that is nice enough to wear to a wedding. I found something at their little Monoprix, which is again kind of like a Target, but it was definitely not nice enough. And so I found this little shop called Carol, and it was kind of like an Ann Taylor almost, but they had this navy blue dress hanging there. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is the dress. And I take it to the lady to try it on, and she looked at me and she's like, this will not fit you, in very broken English. And I was like, no, yes, it will fit me. It's my size. It's okay. It's going to work. That I have to. And she's like not understanding my English at all. And I'm like typing on Google Translate because in this tiny town, nobody spoke English. It was like everyone spoke French, which is obviously totally fine. But communicating was just like a little bit more difficult. So I'm like Google Translate typing about my mom's wedding and I need this dress. So she let me try it on and it fit. And I was like, lady, don't be shaming me. The dress fits. And so I came back out and she's like, did it fit in French? And I was like, oui. I like handed her my card. So yeah, but I found the dress. It fit. And then to add to the chaos on the wedding day, Maddie comes knocking on my mom's door while we were all getting ready. And he's like, I have some bad news. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what now? And he burned a hole in his pants with the iron, Virginia.
Oh my God.
So he's like, I don't have another pair of pants.
Where was the hole?
In his leg, like you could see it.
Okay.
So I was like, what are we going to do? So my brother, who is probably 4 inches taller than Maddie and weighs more than Maddie, was like, well, I have another pair of navy pants. You can wear them. So in all the pictures, Maddie's belt is like so tight. And like, you can't tell in all of them, but I think it's hilarious because you can definitely tell these are not his pants. And then again, as we're getting ready, knock, knock, knock on the door. And it's my stepdad to be being like, I need you. And I come out there and the police are at the door. And I'm like, what's going on? And he is like speaking to them in French. They're speaking to him. Well, it was so hot and dry that there were field fires nearby. And so they were coming to tell us that we might have to evacuate. And this is like my mom is literally about to get zipped into her dress. And I was like, and then I started to smell the smoke. And I was like, are we going to be able to do this outside? And so then we were like all panicking and trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, don't tell your mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
she's
okay.
gonna smell it.
Yes. And so she was like, we all thought maybe they were doing controlled burns or something because we had noticed it in the morning, but like didn't really think anything of it because they do that like here in North Carolina sometimes, like these controlled burn things. But no. And luckily the wind shifted. It all worked out. The wedding was beautiful. It was all great. But the next day when I brought my friend to the train station, it was like, I think 1.5 kilometers away from the house. So very close. So I'm shocked that, and the police were all kind of stationed at different spots around like the property of our house watching it basically. And because he explained like, this is a wedding and da da da. And when we left to go to the train station, they asked us like, where are you going? When are you coming back? Because it was still like smoldering even the next morning. But luckily nobody lost their lives. Nobody was hurt, but yeah, a lot of damage to the properties around the one we were staying at, but ours was okay.
Wow. That is amazing.
It was crazy.
Mean, like if one more person had come up to you and said, I have bad news.
I was like, I can't take it and no more.
You might have lost it. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow. Well, at the end of the day, was the wedding beautiful?
Yes.
Did your mom get the day that she wanted?
Yes, the wedding was beautiful. Other than it being 95 degrees and we were all sweating, they actually changed the wedding from 4 p.m. to 6 to try to help with the heat. But yeah, it was beautiful. We had a great time. It was, turned out amazing, but it was definitely hot.
Yeah. How was the return trip to the United States, both in terms of returning the car to the airport and then your flight back, which was on Iceland Air, because that part did not get rescheduled, unless you're about to tell me that it did.
It did not, no.
Okay,
everything
good.
Going back was smooth. We decided to ended up leaving and going closer to the city of Paris to get some air conditioning and not have to drive 4 hours and then do a 7-hour plane ride with the kids. We just decided, let's go the day before, spend the night at like I think it was a Hyatt place at the airport, and it was great, very convenient, and air conditioned. So
and I'm sure the minute you walked in there, you were like, oh, this is amazing.
And to make a long story short, we ended up going to see Toy Story 5 in the city of Paris our last night because we were like, all right, let's go see it. It's out. We found a version in English with French subtitles. It was great. No air conditioning. It was so hot in that movie theater. I thought we were all gonna die. We were like in our hoodies and had blankets. They were probably like, you guys are so stupid. And we get in that theater and we're all like, there's no air conditioning here either. And just like ripping off layers of clothes. And it was so bad.
God.
So we were so thankful to get to that hotel and be in the air conditioning. But everything else went smooth. Our layover in Iceland was easy. I wish we could have spent more time there because just the view from the airplane was gorgeous. But yeah, nope, landed in Raleigh, got the car while they got the bags, and everything was very smooth.
At the end of the day, do you think that you will go back to Disneyland Paris anytime in the next few years?
Probably not in the next few years. I do think Disney Adventure World, before Frozen and the Tangled editions, I am like, that is a half-day park, if that. It was very minimal. It was still cool to see. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad they added that. They definitely have some more to do, which they're doing, the Lion King / Splash Mountain type attraction, and there's going to be this up spinner ride, which is fine. But their whole Toy Story section is just kind of weird. Their Cars section is kind of weird, and it just wasn't greatly laid out. I hope that they kind of rethink some of those things, but Disneyland Paris itself was very magical, very beautiful. We loved it. And Eiley has been saying ever since we got back that when she turns 17, she's going back there. I don't know why she picked that year. I don't know. So I'm like, all right, Maddie, we're going back when she turns 17. So in 10 years, maybe we'll go back. But I think at this point, it's not like we would not go back, but we'd rather go see other international parks first before going back.
Yeah. What do you think your next goal would be for an international park?
Our goal currently is Tokyo, and Maddie has a big milestone. He is getting his PhD.
We talked about this, I think, during the pre-trip. I have not edited it yet to refresh my memory because I said I want to go to Tokyo as well for a milestone.
Yes. So when he finishes school, which he still has about 4 years left, that is what we want to do. We want to go to Tokyo. So that's kind of or Japan in general, but then also Tokyo Disney and Disney Sea. That's our next big goal. But we were not anticipating going to Disneyland Paris, and this just kind of happened. So who knows what will come up between now and then. But that was that's our next plan, is for international park to Tokyo.
And what about to the parks in the U.S.? What are your next times that you think you might be entering those gates?
Oh man, I'm a crazy person, have like multiple trips planned. But I am going actually just with my brother to do our next Every Ride challenge in September. And so we are going to be trying to attempt again all operating rides at all 4 parks in one day on September 24th of this year. So yeah, stay tuned. Follow my Instagram. Wow. We're going to be vlogging it, all the things. But I'm going to stay a few days longer. And some of my other friends from the area are going to, I'm going to meet up with them. And then also some other podcast friends are going to be in town. So I'm going to meet up with them as well. So I'm going to have some solo time in the parks with my friends. And then, do a day with Steph and Everly at Magic Kingdom and Epcot and do the challenge day. So, yeah.
Fun.
Very exciting.
The day before I leave for my Disneyland Paris trip. So
so fun.
And then I know that you've been to Disneyland in California before.
Yes.
So any plans on the horizon for those parks?
No plans for those parks officially. I really want to get my dad there. That is like a huge goal for me. So I'm trying to navigate like working on that. In my head, I keep telling myself for the 75th anniversary of Disneyland, so in 4 years, going back there. And Maddie's like, so doing that and Tokyo at the same time. I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But yeah, we definitely want to go with my dad. That's like a huge goal.
Don't you think that, call me crazy, Disneyland in California, if you go that direction to go to Japan,
I like your thinking,
you
Virginia.
could stop and that would be your layover for a few days. I don't know.
That is a great thought. Yeah. I'm going to propose that to Maddie. That is an awesome thought. Okay. So yeah, we'll see. I also want to go to D23 sometime. I'm not going this year, but a lot of friends were like, come with us and stay in our hotel. And I was like, well, I don't know that I can do that this year because we have so many other trips planned. I have another trip to Disney World in October. We're going on a cruise next year. So lots of things already booked, but maybe 2028 for D23. And maybe that's when I'll take my dad. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would like to get to D23 at some point, but...
let's do it 2028, Virginia.
Okay. All right. I'll put a hold on my calendar.
Yeah.
At some point, we have to meet up. And when we do, it's going to be like old friends because we've talked so many times at this point. And considering the fact that you live in North Carolina, I always consider you like an old friend, even though we've only known each other a couple of years at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you strike me as like, oh, I've known her forever. So.
Yes, I know. I love that. Same here. And this is like my year of trying to meet up with people because in my September trip, there's some friends from podcasts that are coming. And then in my October trip, same thing. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be hopefully in this next year, the time of getting to meet up with all these awesome people I've met through the podcast.
What are your October trip dates?
My October trip dates, I think it's the 23rd through the 26th. But let me look here. When are you going? Are you going in October?
I am. I'm going the weekend of the 16th.
Oh my gosh. So we're literally going to miss each other by a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do my very first Halloween party.
My gosh. Yeah. We're doing the Halloween party the 23rd. So we'll be there the week after you. But I'm so excited for you. It is my favorite after hours event.
Yeah. I cannot wait. I have not done Halloween. I haven't done Christmas. I haven't done Jollywood. So I'm just going to start ticking them off the list.
I love it. I've only done Christmas and Halloween. I have not done a Jollywood yet either. That's on my list for next year, hopefully. But I love Halloween. I think you're going to love it.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad I'm doing it in the month of October.
Yes.
If somebody gave me a free ticket for earlier, I'm sure I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But I just can't get in the Halloween spirit until after Labor Day weekend. It has to at least be after Labor Day weekend. I can't think Halloween. I can't think pumpkin spice lattes. I need time.
I am that way too. I love Halloween, but it needs to be after September. And one year we went in August to Mickey's Not So Scary, and Maddie was like, never again. Number one, it's so hot, and in a costume, that's miserable. But number two, it is just not time yet. It's still summer. I'm just not ready for it yet. So I agree.
Well, I hope you have a great rest of your summer. It is always a pleasure to talk to you, and I can't wait to see some photos from this trip. And I hope that I will, again, get to meet you at some point in the very near future. And if it doesn't happen soon enough, we're just going to have to, make it happen.
Plan a trip. That's right.
Yeah.
If not anything, D23 2028.
Yeah. Or if I come down at some point and visit my sister, I'll have to be like, hey, definitely. I'm in town. I'm coming to Charlotte in a couple of weeks, but only for like a night. So,
I know that's the hard thing. And it's hard when you come to visit family too. I know it's like we're that way when we go to Florida to the other coast to see family. It's like we never get to see our friends. It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
But cool. Yay.
All right. Well, thank you very much as always, and have a wonderful rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thank you, as always, to Olivia for continuing to come back to the show and for the work that she does with her own show, Soaring Around WDW. I am a loyal listener of that podcast myself and highly recommend it to you all. The links are in the show notes so that you can easily find it and enjoy it yourself. To follow up on one thing that I mentioned on the show that I wanted to fact check myself on, yes, there was a speakeasy at Disney's Hotel in New York, The Art of Marvel, but unfortunately it ended more than a year ago because it was a limited time thing that was for the release of the movie that was about Deadpool and Wolverine. Whatever that movie was called. It's probably called Deadpool and Wolverine, but I don't know. I can't remember. I looked it up and I totally forgot to look at the actual name of the movie. It's too bad because it looked so cool. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes with some photos to that because you had to go into this broom closet and enter a code into a safe to get access to this speakeasy. It looked like so much fun. If you are considering being a Trip Report guest yourself, I am currently looking for people who are traveling in early 2027. So if that's you, head to my website, whereilongtobepodcast.com, and click on the Be Our Guest link to submit your own trip. And with that, it's time to wrap up this episode. Thank you all for listening and keep daydreaming about where you long to be.